The first session will be starting in a minute. And a few words as we get ready for it. This session, which is the theme known as the Last Mile Connect to MSME Sector by steel mills through service centers and organized distribution systems. The duration of the session is exactly 1 hour, and we need to stick to time if we are to do justice to all the sessions. This session will be chaired and moderated by Mr. Venkat Pampatwar, General Manager Operation Sales, Tata Steel Downstream Products Limited, and the distinguished panelists are Mr. Sanjay S. Sahani, who is the Executive in Charge, SBU Tube, Tata Steel Limited. The profile is on the screen for all of you, ladies and gentlemen, to have a quick look. The second speaker, the second panelist, I beg your pardon, is Mr. Samuel, Executive Vice President, JSW Steel. And the third panelist is Mr. Sanjay Vaid, Head, Hypermart Business, ArcelorMittal, Nippon Steel Limited. May I now request the chair of the session and the moderator, Mr. Venkat Pampatwar, to kindly come to the dais. May I now request the panelists, Mr. Sanjay Sani, Mr. Sajid Samuel, and Mr. Sanjay Vaid, to please join the moderator. Thank you. Mr. Pampatwar, the session is all yours to take it forward.
Hello, I'm audible. Good morning, everyone. First of all, thanks to Mr. Sanjay Vera for setting up the contest in such a beautiful way. Inspirational talk by Mr. Chakravarti, Mr. Panda, and really it has really helped us in thinking in a different way. First of all, welcome to Mr. Sanjay Sahani, our AIC Tubes Division, Mr. Saji from JSW, Associate Vice President, and Mr. Sanjay Vaid from ArcelorMittal, Head Hypermart. Today's session is about the last mile connect. So what is meant by last mile connect? Because we have talked about the MSME, this is the manufacturing conclave, and how steel industry and service center can add value and help them in a better way. So what is service center? Service center is nothing but it is an irreplaceable bridge between customer and a steel manufacturer. And service center, if we see the era of 1990, where steel mills used to sell coils, and in turn our MSME sector or the manufacturers used to face lot of problem in processing the material. And that's how the there was a birth of cutters. We used to call that as a cutter, and over the period of time, the cutters have transformed to the steel processing units, that is called the service center. And now this evolved baby, how it will play the role to add value to the MSME and connect them to the last mile is the key challenge as of now. So today, what we will be doing, we will be taking expert panelist view about this. Just to brief you about the MSME, total MSMEs in the country are 63 millions, almost 63 lakhs. And if we see the growth of our GDP, it is 6 to 6.5%, and MSME growth is around 12%. At the same time, if we see the growth of steel industry and growth of MSME, it is more or less it is equal. So bigger challenges are for steel industry, how they are going to help MSMEs through service center. Why is MSME is important? The way Mr. Chakravarti has said, because it gives lot of employment, it contributes almost 50% to the export and 50% to the domestic market. So MSME is a backbone of our Indian economy. As well, it is a backbone, as well, steel is also the backbone of our Indian economy. How we can gel together both the backbones together and help MSME. So I'll start the discussion first with Mr. Sani. Right now, MSME sector really facing a lot of challenges in terms of visibility. What all are the MSME expectations from steel service center and end-to-end supply chain visibility?
So of course, I have served MSME since the start of my career, and in fact, I've understood and known their pain points. And currently, head the tubes business. We try and ensure that we solve a lot of their problems. Some of their expectations, of course, are continuous availability, which is, of course, the MSMEs depend. One is if they are tier 2, tier 3 ancillaries, they have 2 to 3 months of forecast. But as all the speakers earlier said, it's a very dynamic and changing world. So how does the service center meet the changing requirements of end customer? That is one. Because MSMEs have the challenges of finance. In today's times, post-COVID, we all know that the cost of all products have really gone up. Steel, for that matter, is now at 50% higher than pre-COVID times. That is true for almost all commodities, and hence the pressure on finance. So they are also looking at just-in-time supplies so that their finance pressures are much lesser. I think third area which I would like to say that the MSMEs are looking at greater amount of value addition. And when I'm saying value addition, it is no longer just the CTL or CTS or cut to size. They are looking at further if the service centers can provide more kind of operations, some more maybe fabrication to that matter, and some forming which can be done so that it can ease their pain and supplies. They can get material in much more ready to use form. Delivery, of course, logistics is another challenge which we keep facing in India, and a lot of MSMEs today have multiple plants. And I think logistics is another area where the service center can play a critical role. One role which I feel the service center also has to play is it acts as a buffer in between the steel plants or the large manufacturer of raw material and the MSMEs and the end consumer. I think the service centers need to have complete visibility end to end, right from what steel is getting produced, how much time it is going to take, the flow of material there, their own stocks, their buffers, the MSME's requirement, and a visibility of their end customer. If this kind of a vision they can have end to end, then the whole supply chain definitely will work very well, and the pain points of MSMEs can get addressed.
Very nice, Mr. Sanjay. Certainly, you have given a lot of input about the mill, holding the stock at service center level, how best you can cater to the MSME sector, and the cost optimization. So I would like to uh, take views from Mr. Saji about Sanjay's input on service center.
Hello. Yeah, am I audible? Good morning. Thank you, Ankit. First of all, thank you very much, Bengal Chamber, for having me here. See, basically today, the MSME, the large part of MSME, as you rightly said, if you say that 65 lakh crore MSME is there, of which, 1.5 million is, say, greater than 1 crore turnover business. And out of that, again, if you look at, they largely contribute, they come from the automobile, the general engineering, and maybe a little from the home appliances or the commercial place. So the steel intensive will be largely restricted to maybe automobile and maybe infrastructure MSMEs. Here again, the large part of volume is addressed by our channel partners, that is the dealer network. The steel industry is so logistic intensive that for us to directly connect to a MSME becomes very difficult. So the larger challenge today for any MSME is the availability part, and to always maintain the stock as they need going forward, and to maintain the moment of price, because in the last post pandemic the prices of raw material has seen very high spikes, maybe because of the Russia Ukraine war or lot many other factors. So leading to which MSME has faced a big challenge as far as the how to plan for raw material. B is, as Sanjay was saying, the credit which government has given almost 5,000 crores for MSME, which again this budget they have again lapped it up by almost 9,000 crores further, and also reduced the credit interest rate by almost 1%. Now, having given all that, is the bank lending to that tune where the MSME is able to get that finance? I don't think they are able to get. So even getting a channel finance, from a bank is becoming very difficult. They ask for so many details, as I heard the earlier panelists speaking about it, that it becomes very difficult that while on paper government intention is very good, that we see that they want to push it, but how much are banks giving the credit line as freely as the need of an MSME is. So they are dependent on largely the credit lines and borrowings that is offered from the open market, and the profitability cannot come for a customer, or for an MSME, if they have to bend on credit for such a long period. And the third and the last, this digitization. I think the most important part today, MSME is largely dependent on digitalization that is offered from B to C, which is, in the last 2 to 3 years, if you see post pandemic, Amazon and the other global international service providers has come and taught us how to do business in a digitized format. We have very quietly adopted that, but we have not, though we have lot many engineers, lot of IT providers, we have not found how do we start direct to customers ourselves, right from the raw material stage to the end customers. So we have only learned how the last mile connectivity is given by Google, but how to do the first mile connectivity is still missing. I think these are the three broad areas where MSME is still facing a challenge. And if done, I'm sure that it's not something which we cannot do. We are learning, and we are learning it very fast. And I'm sure that we will be able to overcome these hurdles as we go by.
Very nice, good. What we can gather is how we can bring down the cost of credit, how we can support them in terms of finance. Knowing Mr. Saji, this business itself, steel business or a service center business, it is a very thin margin business. So your input in bringing down the cost of credit, it will put back pressure on service center and steel mills to really bring down their cost through innovative ideas, as well how we can excel into the improving the services, and at the same time managing the inventory. To take this forward, managing the inventory, I would like to ask Mr. Sanjay Vaid how steel companies will ensure availability of the steel for MSMEs in coming years, considering the exponential expected growth of MSME.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Uh, all the steel mills have to ensure that the right material is available, right quality material is available to all the MSMEs at the right price and at the right time. These are the three basic requirements of the MSME. When we say right quality of the material, there are different grades of the material, there are different, yeah, like many of the MSMEs are doing export. For the export, they need specific grades of the material. So mills have to provide those grades of the material. They have to provide all the support in creating and developing those grades for those MSMEs. Then next is the price. We have to ensure that we build those MSME at in line with the market, in line with the international market. So those MSMEs can be very competitive in the international market. And at the right time, when we say the delivery should be at the right time, then we should have the various service points, service centers, then we should have the stocking points, then we can have outlets, retail outlets, as is already developed by AMNS. We have retail outlets at various places. So we can have a combination of our dealers, distributor networks, and then company-owned retail outlets along with the service centers. So as already it's conveyed, and our government has conveyed that the steel will touch around 300 million ton production in India by 2030, 31. So we need lots of touch points for those MSMEs, for those like availability of the steel, and we need a huge network of the steel. The single network of dealer, distributor, or the company-owned retail outlet cannot work, cannot serve that 300 million ton of steel across the country.
Thank you, Sanjay. Just to take Mr. Sanjay Bhatt's point forward, he has mentioned about the price competitiveness and the availability. As I know, you have done a lot of work in theory of constraint to ease out all these problems in Tata Steel. Can you add on this?
No, sure. So I've always felt that if there is availability, it will fuel demand. A lot of youngsters are here who have not seen scarcity, but several of my friends who are here who have seen India in 90s and 2000, and we've seen as availability across products has improved, the demand has improved, and the same is holds good for steel also. So theory of constraints, it's a wonderful, in fact, idea which came from Dr. Goldratt, and this is based on two basic principles. One is the principle of consumption. What today happens is, say, lot of products, say in for steel also, customers release orders on a monthly basis, and steel mills or the service centers release the orders onto steel mills on a monthly basis. But in case of the buffer managed, material flow or inventory, the orders get triggered based on consumption. So service center supplies or gets demand from the MSMEs, and based on this demand, continuous orders on a weekly basis keep getting triggered back to the plant, and as a result there is continuous flow of material. You don't have to wait for 1 month. So it is entirely consumption based. There is a buffer maintained at service centers, and the main plants keep feeding into the buffers based on the actual consumption which has happened. The second concept on the theory of constraints is, in any supply chain or value chain, end to end, I'm saying there are some constraints, and this theory focuses on wherever there are constraints, how do you maximize your efforts in that case. So if logistics is a concern in certain part of a country or a certain territory, then the focus is there, or a service center is one, or a stockyard, or even at the plant or some facility, then energies are focused around this, and it works very wonderful. And in fact, we have at Tata Steel, we've deployed it for a number of products and segments, and it does very well. In fact, later on in one-to-one discussions, I'll be happy to share more insights into this on the theory of constraints.
Very good. Certainly, theory of constraint, whatever you have implemented, it is really giving fruit to service center industry and all our distributor fraternity. Thanks for your nice input. Any views on this, Mr. Sajid?
See, actually speaking, theory of constraint, as long as you are getting everything good, you find there is no constraint. But the moment you start looking at problems happening at all the front, you feel that there are a lot of constraints. Now the biggest constraint for a small MSME is how to insulate my or their business from vagaries of say cost, vagaries of the production, vagaries of raw material, the logistics and manpower. Now, having said that, this the steel mills per se, we have put up a lot of service centers. We have put a lot of yards, as Sanjay was saying. That we have yards all across the country. Like for JSW Steel, we are having almost 27 lakh yard areas, which is catering to almost 16 plants all across India, and we have almost 18 service centers. Now, if a customer wants a 2 tons, he will find it so difficult that the truck driver is not available. The truck is not available, and if the truck is available, if he wants the material today, maybe it will come after 3 days. So the constraints are at an odd level. So for us in India, the biggest constraint is coming from logistics. Howsoever, our Honorable Minister Nitin Gadkari has tried his level best to open up all the roads, but still, our logistic cost is perhaps the highest in the world today. If you look at the road dispatches, our road dispatches are very, very unviable. So constraint is also coming from that front. The second constraint is, while we have the service centers, we have the dealer segment, the channel partners. JSW Steels, I would speak upon, we have a digital platform called JSW1.MSME. Now, this is one platform which we have started just a year back, which facilitates the MSME business into this portal. It is totally digitized. It gives a small package ticket size. We have also provided in that platform even a channel finance to look forward to. These are things coming up from such seminars, where we come across and meet people and we find out there are a lot many problems. While we say it's a constraint for us, but that constraint may not be a constraint for you as a business manager. But for us, it is, even if I say that my constraint is, say, I don't have an RH facility or my vacuum degazzer is a constraint. But you may not feel that, that is not very important for you. I need my material on time. There is one more constraint, that tomorrow we take a higher export orders. Now, export orders, if we take, naturally it so happens that export has got a timeline to service, and it doesn't have a window of say 31 days of a calendar month, and we have to do it by 21st day. Now, if I try to truncate all my orders within 21 days, what happens to the other domestic orders? So definitely it goes beyond schedule. So again, a constraint comes into play, and my domestic orders takes a backseat. Now, this again is a problem, though, some of the export orders are compiled to, but we also manage to give domestic. But at the same time, we ensure that the orders or the stock at all stock levels are managed in a manner that the MSME especially and the channel management gets material. So this one platform which I am talking about, JSW1.MSME, is definitely a forward-looking business portal, which I think will help the MSME in times to come.
Very good. Thank you for your input. Certainly, we have understood about the challenges and the constraint, and all these challenges and constraints are forcing us to give the solution. And the solution, what you have talked about, the JSW1 portal. To take this forward, I would like to ask Mr. Sanjay Baid, what kind of initiatives like JSW has taken to bring in a lot of visibility to the MSME sector? Do you have taken any such initiatives in your organization?
Yes, like I will say, AMNS is very proactive in this direction. We have at present 17 retail outlets across the country. We are from those retail outlets, we are serving all nearby MSMEs who are around 20, 30, 50, 100 kilometers from the retail outlet. They can take 2 tons, 3 tons, 5 tons, 10 tons material as per their requirement. So we are stocking the material for them. They need not to invest the money in the inventory. We are stocking the material for them. They can lift as and when required on just-in-time basis. This is one part. Then second, we have 5 service center spread across the country. So in the service center, any customer wants cut to size material, tailor-made material. As per their requirement, we process the material, stock material to a certain time, maybe 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, and then dispatch material as per their requirement. So we are doing lots of activities on that front, and our footprints in the retail network is going to expand. At present, we have 17 retail outlets. We will be having 25 retail outlets by the end of this calendar year, and similar type of expansion you can expect in the coming years.
Very good, Sanjay, and certainly that is going to help our MSME sector for customized lots, small lots, rather than giving in packets or a 2-ton or a 10-ton material. Because if you go to US and Europe, the industries has evolved to the number of sheets. Okay, we talk about on the tons, but they talk on number of pieces, and that too number of pieces gets delivered to their assembly line or the stamping line or the press shop. So certainly these are the challenges, and our steel service center industry as well as steel mills really has to look into that. To take this point forward, I would like to ask Mr. Saji, the way he has said ki JSW1 platform is there, but many times as a customer, not as a host, we have seen the MSME, our end customers, they are facing lot of problem in terms of raw material availability in time. At the same time, their lines are down. They are losing the revenue because of the non-availability of the material, and end customers are getting suffered because of this. So, how you can connect the dots between lost revenue and gain revenue through supply chain management, pipeline visibility?
This is the most toughest perhaps question that can be answered, because this has got two parts to it. One is the revenue loss generally happens when you are not getting your material in time. You are not getting the material as per the cost that you have thought about in your monthly business plan, and at the same time the deliveries do not happen in time. So if I look at the part one of the problem, the revenue loss on account of price, this is something which is difficult to predict, because in this last year, the type of raw material increase has happened. If you see, it has been very, very difficult to predict. So that is one area where the MSME will have to not look at the market price going forward. They have to do a budgeting in a manner that how the market prices have moved in the last 6 months and how can they plan better. So one is a better planning at their end. And as steel mills, we have two different models. One model is made to stock. There are stock that we do, which we call as MTS. We create stock which we think that this will be the future quantity that will be required, and we give it through our channel partners or we give it at our service centers. And then there is made to order. There are orders coming from the tier 1 vendors, tier 2 vendors, the automotive vendors, even the infrastructure customers. And we made to order and give that orders on time. So I am saying is these orders which we do as made to stock and made to orders, you go either directly to the customer or go through our service centers. So the second part of business where they need material on time, now steel mills are ready with the type of volume that can be available and made available just in time, as we do for automotive customers. Because today, if you look at the most of the automotive customers, say for example, which need just-in-time material, today they are getting the just-in-time material. Companies like Maruti and Hyundai and other companies, they don't keep a big inventory. Their inventories are all maintained by steel mills, and we are there to just provide just-in-time. So similarly, but they keep at least say maybe a week inventory at their end. It's not that they don't. They leave with zero inventory. So the inventory maintenance is one, and the loss in revenue also happens about the credit that is not getting available. Your in time payment, that you have to get from your end customer, that also is a hit on your revenue. So the point here is, you will have to access your end customers paying potential, and second is you should also have to look at how you can get your finances on time, because getting your material made on time and to ensure that you give your end customer on time, and if you are able to ensure that from the time you manufacture till the time you give it to your customer, direct to customer, to your loss in revenue.
We being a irreplaceable bridge service center, so we'll have to really think for the customer so that they are not incurring the losses. So good, Mr. Saji. So to take this point forward, like JSW and the AMNS, the way they have developed the portal, they have developed the network, distribution network. I would like to ask Mr. Sanjay Sani, during your flat product days and the BPR business, you have also worked on a lot of things, and you have given a lot of comfort to the channel partners and the end customers through the model of hub and spoke distribution model. Can you share some few experience to the audience?
Sure, Venkat. So over the last few years, what first and foremost we expanded our channel partners in terms of numbers and reach. Today we have almost about 70 channel partners serving all our MSME customers across the country, and each one of them has multiple stockyards. Each one of them has service centers. Today we serve about 500,000 tons to MSME every month, and 500,000 tons is the approximate inventory in various products which is available with our channel partners to serve the customers better. That is one. And almost a similar kind of inventory is also there in the Tata Steel system. We have in our stockyards, in my transit, in my WIP. So just to assure all our MSME customers here that is the extent of work today we are doing. Is about 1 million tons of inventory on any given day is in the complete pipeline to serve you. What we have worked extensively on improving the stockyards and service centers so that they are equipped to serve you much better on a just-in-time basis to also adequate and keep inventory. On the hub and spoke, we have our stockyards across the country, and say we have a stockyard at Nagpur for Maharashtra, which stores the maximum amount of inventory required for Maharashtra, and that works as a hub and spoke, and from there we continue to supply to our channel partners and our customers there. Similar hub and spoke models exist across. At the same time, we are also looking at more manufacturing units. So there is massive expansion Tata Steel is doing from current 20 million in India to 40 million by 2030, and having many more manufacturing units so that we become closer to our customers.
Thank you. Certainly, we can see the way growth is happening at your end. As well, we have seen the channel partners, the way they are getting equipped to accommodate and being a growth story with the Tata Steel. They are also getting equipped, and certainly your hub and spoke model for the distribution sales to MSME is going to help in a big way. Certainly, with this, all this expansion is happening. Channel partners are adding their capacities and improving their capabilities day in and out. So, but the biggest challenge remains there with the MSME sector, that how they are, because Mr. Sanjay Behra has mentioned that we should not, rather we should be having the open culture, sharing the experiences, sharing the best practices. But the biggest challenge for MSME is now the managing their competition with the global player. That is one. Secondly, they are facing lot of problem in managing their working capital. At the same time, the interest rate, the way interest rates are going up day in and out. To tackle this in a big way and support them in long run, how are we, means the service center and the steel mills, are going to help them through the different financial instruments? The question is to Mr. Sanjay Bhatt.
Yes, I think the steel mills can play a very important role in working out the working capital requirement of the MSMEs. First is that all the steel mills have their retail outlets or stockyard and the service center. So the steel mills can maintain decent level of inventory. So we can ask MSME that you need not to stock the material. You can stock the material to a certain extent, maybe for 1 day requirement and maybe for a couple of hours requirement if the service center or the retail outlet is next door to him. And as you have seen in the AMNS, like we have developed number of retail outlets near to the consumption centers, like in Pune, then we have in Ahmedabad, we have in Aurangabad, we have in Chennai, we have in Bangalore. So it's equally spread across the country. So the MSME need not to work on the inventory. He need not to invest on the inventory. Inventory cost will be borne by the meal and the retail outlets and the service centers. First, second, steel mill have very good connections with the financial institutions. So what AMNS is doing, we are providing channel financing to all the MSMEs. The MSMEs who are doing business regularly with us, our financial companies who are associated with the AMNS, they are providing finance at very reasonably good rate. I will not say it will be at par with the international rate. International rates are really very lucrative. And I personally feel that eventually India will match those rates, maybe 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years down the line. But at present, AMNS is providing very attractive rates with the help of our financial channel partners to all the MSMEs. Thank you.
Good, Sanjay. Thanks. The way you explained about MSMEs need not to worry about the inventory, need not to worry about the inventory carrying cost and the interest rate and all. Good. Mr. Sanjay, in your organization also, you have taken a lot of initiatives to support MSMEs in terms of finance, in terms of getting the finance, easily availability of the finance. So can you throw some light on this?
Yeah, sure. So we had developed a platform called Digica. This was a few years back, and first extended to our channel partners, and then Digica got extended to a large number of MSMEs. In fact, we'll be happy to share more details on this platform, which not only provides end-to-end visibility, that is one part, it also has provision for various kind of financing options and schemes for our channel partners, through which where we tie up with our banks and financial institutes, and on case-to-case basis they extend these kind of facilities which are there. In addition, the total amount of money which is available in the entire value chain is fixed as of today. So some is with the customer, MSME, with the service center, and with the steel company, of course, with the logistics and other things. I think Digica also offers various kind of other solutions. There is technical support, we have technical resources, and together with the MSMEs, we can definitely try and generate more value for each one of them, and hence the lesser pressure on the profitability. And of course, the financing schemes are definitely available.
Oh, good. So really we are happy to know you are also equally concerned about the profitability of our MSMEs and the low cost finance availability. So Mr. Saji, do you want to add on this anything?
Yeah, see, basically, if you look at the MSME growth story, I'm sure that in the last 2 years or 3 years, the MSME has definitely got a push, at least one point. The last point that I want to say is that we have, as I said earlier, we have our own digital platform which we have started. There we have our, we also provide a channel finance. Other than that, we have also tied up with the third party channel finance. Like, if there are some MSMEs who have been doing business with us, seeing the number of years relationship with us, we push them, or we asked the channel finance company to offer channel finance to the MSMEs based on their number of years relationship and the amount of dependency that they have on us. So that type of a working capital requirement also is provided for. And the last piece that I want to say is that we have our service center tie-up with Marubeni Itochu, which is called JSW-MI Service Center. We have 4 large service centers. One is Palwal, one is Khed in Pune, we have one at Ahmedabad, and now one we have at Chennai. And there also we have, these JSW-MI offering material direct to customers, MSMEs, which can take benefit directly from them. And there, I think they also offer the channel finance and the credit required to the MSME to operate. So I think the canvas, as told by Mr. Mehra in the start, the canvas is very huge. And today the MSME has to just reach out to steel companies how to do the business and transact business so that their working capital as well as the need of material is met up with.
Very good, Mr. Saji. The way you have explained about the channel financing, working capital, and the ease of getting the funds available. So certainly that is going to help MSME sector in a big way going forward. The Indian steel business has evolved in a big way and multiple fold. In 1990 steel mills, the distribution was really controlled by the trade segment. Slowly that trade segment has transformed and they have started their own facility and started catering to the end customers and managing their needs just in time. And that's how the channel partners came in. Recently, there are certain few developments in the market where we can see a lot of startups are coming up, like the fintech companies. So, how do you see the role of fintech companies between the MSMEs and the service center business in years to come?
See, this is a fast evolving market, and nobody can predict what will happen in this particular space because, when Zomato came in, everybody thought this is an ultimate, success story, and the valuation went up like anything. I'm just digressing from the topic because your subject came on this subject. And then Zepto, a company came in, two young entrepreneur, I think their age, I don't know, recollect the name, less than 20 years. They started up a company called Zepto, and they found that if you deliver within 10 minutes, the customer delight will increase. And what happened to Zomato is it fell flat on its face. The share price from what it was and what it is today, it kept going down. And today Zepto is also finding it problem to reach out to the customer because, see, the biggest challenge today is our, the time of attention span is today getting reduced. Even a WhatsApp message, if it is longer than enough, we just ignore it. So the problem is today, the higher the digitization, the attention span gets reduced. So if you pamper the customer more than what is required, sustenance of that becomes at a cost. And I think the higher you do it, so this is what the Google and Amazon teaches us. They pamper us to an extent that we become slaves to that particular addiction, and then it becomes very difficult to pull out of it. I am sure that no one needs that material, any material you want. I am sure that you don't need it in 10 minutes. It's not a life-saving device that you want a atta or a maida in 10 minutes. That you need it because you may not have planned well in advance. So by doing that 10 minutes, goal of reaching out to the customer, they have, I would rather say they have spoiled the whole landscape. They have put so much of pressure in the system that you will, while driving on the road, you will find this Zomato guy zipping past your car, maybe hitting down, your three people because he want to reach on time. He may himself be a threat to his own life. At the same time, kill the other two guys on the road because his objective is to do at least 8 to 10 deliveries per day to earn his total income. So coming back to your story, I just digressed it because in steel mills, we are highly, logistic intensive. So please don't expect us, to come and say that, okay, we will deliver it in 1 hour. It is not possible because if we do that, we are ending up nowhere. I think that particular time has to be given because infrastructure, Rome was not built in a day. And steel consumption happens largely in infrastructure. So we need to give time. We need to give space. We should not be looking at, the direct to customers taking over this business. And if it does tomorrow, well, I cannot predict that it cannot happen. But if it happens that way, I don't think it will remain at that space forever, because digitization can help us only for a short span. It cannot keep us, you read a paper. While reading a paper, you will find you may go through a paper at all space of a newspaper. You will go through into entire detail of a newspaper. But when you go into a digital space to read a newspaper, if there is a small advertisement coming on the corner, I'm sure that will miss your eye. Why? Because you are looking at only what you want to look at. But when you look up into a newspaper or go into a book reading, I'm sure that will catch your attention span more. So coming back to your question, Venkat, I would only put it that, steel mills should not get into this particular area of, rushing on into that particular digitized platform to give the customer delight. Only thing that I wish to add here is, yes, customer complaints, as far as, resolving the complaints is concerned, that needs to be addressed really faster. That is where I think the digitization transformation should take place. Any material that has reached a customer that doesn't, cater to his need, or perhaps come which is not serving the purpose, or maybe technically not qualifying the requirement, that particular thing should be addressed very fast. That has to be done the digitized way, and we have a particular portal which is called a CCMS, and we resolve the complaint within the 30 days time span, right from the information till the time the material is picked back. That is what our goal is, further to reduce it. So if you look at digitization, I think it is only on the customer complaint resolving, rather than, not looking at the logistics. Yes, where is the material right now, or what state is my material in terms of production, that can be given. At what space is my production, at what level is it, or where is it right now from the start of the plant, those can be digitized. I hope I have answered you.
Yes, you have answered. Thanks, Mr. Saji. Well, certainly, steel mills have succeeded to make customer understand from steel as a commodity to the product, and very soon the digitization is going to help in a big way to really steel service center to be treated as a services. Any view on this, Mr. Sanjay?
Yeah. So while digital is the way, and I think COVID last 2 to 3 years has really ensured that across all sectors, including steel, all the steel companies have adopted to digital. And today on Digicarp, there is adequate visibility which we have for our steel orders which we get from our customers, our service centers. But it's a changing world, and today's consumers, when they use an Amazon, their expectations are also that the similar kind of visibility there is from steel. I think so. Steel mills, the level of digitization we are at today, I think we will have to improve from there to give complete visibility to end customers of how their material is flowing. Today, the availability may be at a weak level or at multiple different stages, but in the long run, we will definitely have to give that kind of visibility, because today's consumers are also using different products and different platforms, and they will expect similar kind of experience. So there is a lot of work we will have to further do to come up to those levels. But I'm sure my colleagues from JSW and NMS and also Tata Steel who are present here, we are all working on those platforms to make life more easy and more convenient for you, so that you in turn can, in fact, our customers can in turn deliver more value. The business models are also changing today. It's a very, very rapid world, and I think fintech also will have a role to play, because the rate at which India is growing, and also the steel and various segments are growing, the need for finance will be there. While government is pitching in, there are NBFCs which are there, but there are fintech companies also which will have a role to play, and it'll obviously get involved. In the next room, we have some of those companies who are also on display, and I'm sure that our teams can, in fact, meet them and see what kind of a role they have to play in the near future.
Okay, thank you. Sanjay, as you know, lot of revolution is happening into the automobile sector, the two-wheeler segment, as well as passenger car, and even into the commercial vehicles too. And globally, the usage of EV, that is battery electrical vehicles, BEV, usage has increased, and by 2030, total 48% of electrical vehicle usage will be there, compared to the present passenger cars and two-wheeler segment. Can you tell me, to tackle this challenge, how steel mills and the service centers, they are equipped for usage of high tensile material, at the same time light weighting of the vehicles, and how they are going to help electrical business going forward?
Yes. Earlier, it was like assumed that when the EV will come, the steel consumption in the car will go down. So now it's clear that the more or less the steel consumption per car will remain same. Yes, the quality of the steel, the type of steel requirement will change once the EV adoption will happen. And again, I'm saying though EV is you can say it's a buzzword in the automobile industry, but it cannot happen suddenly. It will happen gradually. You have seen if we see the percentage of EVs vehicles purchased at this point of time compared to the traditional fossil fuel vehicles, it is less than 10%. And similarly, it will take time. And I personally feel both type of vehicles will keep on moving in the roads. It will not happen that the 100% market will be captured by the electrical vehicles, or one fine day you will find only the electrical vehicles are moving in the market. So it will be combination of both the vehicles, and the change will happen gradually. So all the steel mills will find the time to adopt the new technology, to develop the new grades as per the EV industry requirement. So I personally feel, yes, we need to do lot many works, but it can happen very smoothly over the years.
Okay,
Venkat,
Sanjay,
if I
thanks
can-
for your input. Just any views from your side?
Yeah, sure. So just like any change or innovation happens across the globe, and if you see, it's mostly like an S curve. So it is gradual, and then it reaches a tipping point, and then it just shoots up. So our view also is that EV, it's just a matter of time, maybe a year, 2 years. It will reach a tipping point, and then we'll see a drastic jump across. It happens across all. You go across in the last 100 years on all inventions, be it the mobile or the air travel or any this thing. You will see all these innovations work in a S curve. It is gradual initially, and then they reach a tipping point when just takes over. And the same will happen for EV. But I'm sure the investments which all the steel mills have planned are for high tensile, because definitely higher battery size will result in lightweighting of vehicles, more high tensile. And hence the service centers also will have to be equipped to be able to process this material, and which in the end will be required by the two-wheelers, three-wheelers and the four-wheelers.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
to
Sanjay.
add to what Sanjay has said. See, basically in JSW Steel today we have electrical steel. We can produce almost 0.3 million tons of electrical steel. Now EV is the basic concept today in India is we are largely driven by IC vehicles. EV needs charging point, and most of the automobile companies feel that the passenger vehicles growth as far as EV is concerned will happen only in urban areas where the point-to-point travel is very limited. Having seen that, the commercial vehicle can see a good spurt in EV mobility, the passenger vehicle, especially for the buses and all, where the point-to-point travel is fixed, so that the charging point is also available. And the last is the two-wheelers. The two-wheeler adaptability to an EV will be faster. Why? Because the charging point you can do at home. Now, if you look at the way Teslas have grown, or even in India, you will see the Tata Motors, the way EV business is growing. But I think our largest car manufacturer, like Maruti, which is almost 50% of market share, they are still not, put their heads into EV because they don't think, the EV business will grow the way, everyone is talking about. It's good to say that EV will grow or it will grow, but there are lot of challenges. One is a charging point. Second is the number of kilometer per charge. Because supposing if you're traveling in an EV and the battery shows that there are two charge peak charge left, and it happens that it immediately depletes. What are you going to do? So, but Indians are little finicky on this particular matter. So till the time we have the charging stations at all point, the charging per battery or per charge per kilometer is increasing so that you can travel safely. All these things play a big role. But steel companies, as we speak, there is only one shift in EV and an IEC engine as far as the moving parts reduces, leading to which the longs that are used reduces. So the weight per car remains the same. Maybe it's slightly reduced, but the flat steel component, gains a little more higher traction. And the base of the battery and all brings advanced high strength steel. So we have the advanced high strength steel today. JSW steel can give grades as high as 980 TS and also 1180, and even in coated space we can give as high as 570. So having said that, we have the grade of steel that is required, and we are supplying to all the automobile companies. The only challenge that perhaps we will see is the two-wheeler segment, because today the two-wheeler is is falling rapidly. Now, is it because of the shift happening from IEC to a EV? Nobody knows. But the main problem will come is from the adaptability point. Because the rural customer today is largely banking on the second sale of cars. If you see the second sale of the car, the car which is used car segment is growing phenomenally. So all the IEC engine is going to rural segment, and the urban is shifting to the EV vehicle. So you urban will be using EV and your rural will be using IEC. I think this shift may happen in times to come unless the whole landscape changes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Saji, Mr. Sanjay Bhatt, for nice input. Before concluding the session, I would like to ask audience if they have any question for panel member. You are free to ask.
My name is Kunal, and I represent TILIV International. Basically, I have a contrarian opinion to what Mr. Saji said, and it's related to your comment on Zepto, Zomato. Fulfillment time is something that we are seeing very critical, because we are catering to a lot of international clients. Companies like big companies like Ducatis, and the environment is so competitive that they release an RFQ or an inquiry, and the reaction time that they require is like super fast. And you made a comment of, we are spoiling the consumers by giving this short fulfillment time commitment. But what happens is, by the time we get a feasibility feedback, from say component manufacturer, which has to be backed up by a steel mill for material availability, because their material requirements are very stringent. In that time, we are competing with a lot of international players, like especially Chinese. By the time we give a feasibility, in 3, 4, 5 days time, they would have supplied. They would have got the order in a day and supplied the material, and we are losing out. So speed, I just wanted to reiterate your thought on this, because speed is of essence for somebody like us. And fulfillment, it was a very welcome note mentioned that somebody is trying to have a fulfillment of 1 hour. It was pleasant to hear, but from the position of steel mill, if it is not so seriously taken, I think it's a little bit of concern to hear that, but I would really like your opinion on that.
No. My example for Zomato and Zepto was given not on a context that steel mills are not serious about in delivering the material on time. I was just saying that, pampering a customer for a requirement that he had not asked for is a dangerous thought, going forward. You need to have that landscape or the wherewithal to do it, which is what my point was. But my, only the answer to your question is today steel mills are ready. See, if you look at the grades that you are intending, you should need to understand what is the grade time that is taken. If you say that advanced high strength steel, you should keep it in your backyard to service. That I keep it only for my for a pre-designed customer or predefined customer. I cannot keep it for ages because there is an aging criteria also for an advanced high strength steel. So anytime you want to order a material on a steel mill, you need to know the lead time. Now, once you know the lead time, I'm sure that every steel mill, once committed, they stand by the commitment. In fact, we supply to exports bang on dot. There is not a single date of delivery consignment slippages that is happening. And today, Indian steel mills are one of the largest exporters if you look at. So, on commitments, we are committed. But if you ask for a commitment that cannot be honored, and if I stand to commit that, I will, rather say it's better not to do it rather than stick to commitment that I can honor. So even if there are customers who put a gun on your head for a shorter delivery time, that is the customer ask. But please see whether you will be able to fulfill that. And if you're not able to fulfill, and if you take that order, you are going to run at a loss. So my suggestion would be only that do a back check study whether the ask is it one time rush order or is it a pattern that the customer has always put in. I would always suggest that such customers who do not have a pattern of intending steel, which is steel you cannot order just as a drop of an hat. You have a predefined methodology of ordering, a pattern of ordering. You need to follow that. So please look at your end customer's requirement. One time rush orders can be met up with, but every time if it happens to be a rush order, I think a deep dive study for that customer's ordering pattern has to be looked at. That all I can say. But as a steel mill, we are ready. I hope I answer your question.
The point just I want to add, this is not only for you, for other customers who are here. How, together we can all serve our end customers better. I think better forecasting will help us serve much better. When I was giving you a Tata Steel example of for MSMEs, my total system is carrying 1 million tons of inventory, and still several of my customers I see here will say I'm not getting my material. So if we get a much better forecast, then the inventory which is there in the pipeline, be it my channel partners, with my service centers as well as with Tata Steel, this thing will be far better and will be more accurate to serve you better. And I think that is one area where all of us can work together. There is a cost we are all incurring for this 1 million ton which I'm carrying for you. But if it can be closer to what you need, then it will reduce my lead time. It will reduce the amount of inventory you are carrying, and in fact, it will help us also to on the inventory carrying costs.
Any other question?
Yeah, I have. I'm Shubhrato Shaha from Shaha Steel Private Limited. We are channel partner of Tata Steel for a long time. I have two questions to the panelists from the standpoint of MSME. Number one is that we have seen that the challenge is R&D as compared to rest of other countries or the developed countries and the countries who are competing with us like China and Korea. So the challenge of funding that R&D, I mean, can there be any solution driven by the steel companies or big giants, so that a cluster of MSME can come forward, and from the standpoint of user of the steel and the consumer of the steel, from the standpoint how the R&D can be developed and how the solutions can be given by the steel majors, so that there is a solution to that demand. This is one. And my second point is that earlier, 25 years back, it was a pipeline kind of a business. So in one side, the demand, and you scale up to as much as possible, so your per unit cost becomes lesser. Now it is a platform business, like Amazon and whatever other people are here. In Tata Steel, they have made Ashiana as well as Sampurna kind of platforms. So whether others are also seeing it, what is your opinion to help the MSME in this particular area?
Sure. Thanks. Can I answer? On your first point, from a Tata Steel perspective, many years back, we realized that technical support for our channel partners and our customers is critical, and hence the product application group was created. And over years, this group we have been reinforcing, and they have been training our channel partners as well as in getting involved with our MSME customers. Today, the strength is about close to 60 engineers across the country. In addition, we also realize that we are serving thousands of MSMEs across the country, and there is no way that these 60 engineers can cater to them. And that is when we also introduced similar engineers with our channel partners. So we made it mandatory that our channel partners also have technical resources who will extend support. This is on product development, on customer complaint resolution with our channel partners. This strength also is almost close to about 100 engineers as of today. Few years back, we also realized that MSMEs need the support of R&D. The Tata Steel Jamshedpur R&D facility, where we have invested billions of dollars. A lot of projects are now taken up along with MSMEs with our R&D facilities. There are joint projects, and in fact, in today's forum, I also offer this opportunity to our MSME customers who are here, that if you need R&D support, you need special VIU projects to be taken up, we'll be more than happy to extend these. Earlier, our R&D facilities we used to use for the OEMs, say a Maruti or a Tata Motors, but in the last few years, we've also started extending it to MSMEs, and definitely a lot of joint projects can be taken. The platforms which you spoke about, the reason I didn't mention those because they are for B2C brands, Ashiana as well as Sampurna. But Digika is the very powerful platform which we have for MSMEs. My colleague Wilson Purthy is here. He is an expert on Digika, and I'm sure that over lunch and during the course of the day, you can engage with him to understand more on what all is on offer on Digika platform.
Okay, Mr. Sanjay. With this, thank you very much, Mr. Saji, Mr. Sanjay, for coming here and sharing your valuable inputs for MSME. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Venkat.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pampatwar, for a subject like steel. And why I say this is, whilst there are many all professionals over here, but there are some of us who are perhaps not in that same league. End of the day, each one of us are customers of something or the other. So something which stands out, if I may just add a moment, what Mr. Samuel mentioned, and I understood one of the audience speakers also touched upon. No doubt you will have to look at your speed issue, but I think customer complaint resolution is the key. End of the day, the consumer is the king. Let's not forget that. So I think that is the key word. And as far as speed is concerned, let's keep it at the steel level and not take it on the roads. I say this with a lot of responsibility. What we do see of speeding on the roads is a killer. Let's not go down that path. With that, thank you very much for the panel. May I now request Mr. Behra to kindly hand over the mementos on behalf of the chamber to our moderator and to the panelists. To Mr. Pampatwar, please, Mr. Behra. To Mr. Sanjay Sahani. To Mr. Saji Samuel. Mr. Sanjay Ved, please.